Hi, Emily here from CurrentBody. I'm going to talk to you today about something that some people consider a myth, some people consider to be a real problem, which is the Clarisonic Purging Phase. Now, it's been much discussed across the web in various different forums and places, and it's something that I personally think can be avoided if you use best practice. Now, I personally, when I started using my Clarisonic, I did have a period about 3 weeks into using it where I did have a few spots sort of around the chin area. Now, I would say that that is the place where I would anticipate to get spots anyway. Before I used the Clarisonic, I used to get those every month at a particular time, and I just get a sort of cluster around the bottom of my chin. That's something that I don't get anymore. But after a couple of weeks of using the Clarisonic, I did get those spots come out, and it was almost like they were already there under the skin, and using the Clarisonic just sort of brought them to the fore a little bit quicker and at the same time, so it felt like I had these spots all at once. Now, I must say, since then, I have rarely had a spot since I've been using the Clarisonic regularly. Now, of course, some people do have more problem skin than I personally do, so I've got a few tips for you that I think should help you avoid that purging phase, or if you do get into it, how to get yourself out of it again. So number one would be, make sure you don't press too hard. It's a common mistake with people when they first use the Clarisonic, that as they're moving around their face, they move it too quickly and they really press down. You really don't have to. The Clarisonic is so gentle because it's got this oscillating centre with the 300 movements per second, and it's not designed to be pressed down. It's designed to be gently moved over the surface of the skin in nice, slow, circular movements. So do be aware when you first use it, you're not exfoliating. That's not the point of the Clarisonic. The point is to unblock the pores. So you don't need to apply pressure like perhaps you would with a scrub or with a washcloth and that sort of thing. So my next tip would be to make sure that you only use the Clarisonic when you first start on level 1. So this is the Aria, and it's got 3 speeds. I recommend to all people who buy a Clarisonic from me that they start on level 1 and they remain on that for at least 2 weeks. Now, that's because, of course, suddenly going into a new skincare routine is the same with any new skincare product that you use. You do need to sort of go carefully while your skin becomes accustomed to it and while you work out whether it's correct for you. So I always say 2 weeks on level 1, and then after that time you can move up through the levels if you feel it's appropriate for your skin. And I would also say, although it is perfectly safe to use the Clarisonic on the majority of skin types twice a day, just do it once a day to start with. You might even find perhaps 4 times a week is more suitable for your skin. So err on the side of caution, start low and you can build up as you go. If you go straight into using it twice a day on level 2 or 3, you may well cause problems for your skin. You might be fine, but it might be just too much for your skin, just that instant going from nothing into, you know, that you're using the Clarisonic twice a day. It can be too much. So then, another thing that I might say is perhaps actually you're getting these spots that you would have got anyway, regardless of whether you were using the Clarisonic. And you're looking at them and you're thinking, oh, this is because I'm using the Clarisonic. It seems like it's a purging phase, but actually they might well be spots that you would have got at this time anyway, regardless of whether you were using it or not. So do sort of have a look at your skin and really try and judge whether you think this is to do with a problem that would have occurred as it was, or whether you need to alter the way you're using the Clarisonic and use it less or use it on a lower speed, that sort of thing. And then my final tip will be to make sure that you really clean the brush after use. So every time I've used the Clarisonic, especially when I've taken my makeup off with it, because you get such residue on the brush, you can really see what you've removed. Every time I've used it, if I'm using it in the shower, I'll pop a little bit of my normal shampoo on the top and give it a nice rub and then rinse that off. If I'm doing it over the sink, then I use a bit of the antibacterial hand wash that I've got next to me in the sink anyway, again to clean it. So what this stops is, if you leave the dirt and the bacteria on there, the next time you go to use it, you're then basically just spreading it all over your face. So you do need to use best practice and make sure that you do clean it after every single use. So hopefully those tips will stop you from getting a bad Clarisonic purging phase, but my main recommendation would be to make sure that if you do get those spots, scale back your routine, have a look at the cleanser that you're using, and make sure that you only use it once a day on the lowest setting.